Okay. All right. Here we go. Salute to NBA Nation. On this Monday afternoon, it is another edition of NBA Weekly. Also, KnicksFanTV Simulcast. CP the Fanchise here. Special guest, ESPN GM analyst, my guy Bobby Marks is in the building. On today's show, we are going to talk about a wild weekend around the league, from the Knicks heroics from their big two, the Lakers being on the brink, and could this have been the last home game for Giannis in a Bucks uniform? So let's talk about it. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channels. Let's get into it, man. All right, Bobby, how you doing? Happy Monday, man.
I'm good. How we doing? Feeling better than what you could have been coming home 2-2 and
God.
woo, when you're down 9 and things turned, it's like it's the beauty. I mean, listen, it's the playoffs. It's the roller coaster of the playoffs when you think you're down and then you're not down and then you get a win and now you got to go home and finish the job, right? Like that's the beauty of this next couple months here.
That's the beauty of it, and this is why going into the playoffs, where this year was very different in terms of, the pulse of the fan base being sour on this team. They didn't get their signature wins and this, that, and the third. And I look at the playoffs every year as a blank slate. And it's what made me a fan of this team, of this organization for the 30-some-odd years that I've been watching, because it's the unscripted nature of sports. You just don't know what you're going to get from game to game. So I tell fans all the time, listen, we'll worry about Boston when the time comes, but I just enjoy the moment, man. Yesterday was exhilarating.
I mean, hey, listen, for both teams, the shot making was off the charts. And certainly for New York, the ability to have that lead for most of, through the third quarter, and then certainly things changed. And then to be able to, Jalen, of course, willed them, but the shot making of Towns and Bridges, and that kept them, certainly within striking distance. And listen, I know Tibbs is sometimes a piñata for Knicks fans about minutes and all that stuff, but you got it pretty good compared to what other teams are going through right now. There was desperation in that Lakers game yesterday where JJ played the same 5 guys the whole
look at those minutes. Look at those minutes.
There was desperation in Denver on Saturday when their interim coach played basically 5 guys, 42 minutes plus. And with New York, he knows his guys. He knows basically where their bodies are. He knows what their minutes are. They're battle tested. And I think you probably sometimes have to appreciate as far as what he's been able to do with this group. And as I said, the goal now is to get it done in 5 games, because the longer this extends, the fatigue factor. There could be an injury here. Like you gotta get it. You gotta finish the job here.
Yeah, no question. And when you speak about the injury, man, like when Jalen Brunson goes down, I'm thinking this is, non-contact injury, couldn't put weight on it. And once again, he goes into the locker room, comes back out, like Tibbs says, with the cape, and just starts going crazy. 15 points in that fourth quarter. And they did send me the report that was more of a leg pinch, not the ankle. So it seemed to be, not hampered him. He didn't seem to be hampered by it. But I'm just amazed by this guy. Like, I remember Game 4 in Philly last year, and we were there right behind the bench, and he had a bad knee situation going on where every time out, he's limping to the bench. They're putting ice on it just for like those 60 seconds to give him some sort of relief. He goes back into the locker room again. Everybody's looking that way to see if he's coming out. Comes back out and finishes with 46 points against the Sixers. This guy's incredible.
Yeah, he is. He's fearless. That's and he's not a guy who's just basically standing on the perimeter. He's basically a guy that will go to the basket and attack the basket. And he's fearless. I'm surprised he missed that little bunny at the end, kind of. That was probably one of his more easier shots, certainly in that situation. And I know certainly my colleague Michael Wilbon has probably drawn the ire of Knicks fans. And I was sitting next to him when he made the comment regarding Cade, and I was like, "Ooh, boy, let him go." And listen, Cade is a terrific young player.
Yeah.
He is a all-star. He's probably going to earn All NBA. He had a terrific year. I wrote the Pistons offseason article yesterday. I do that when you're down 3-1 or 3-0, and there's a bright future ahead for Cade Cunningham. But Cade Cunningham has never been in this position before. There's a difference between regular season and being in a game 4 where you have to do or die situation. The group in New York has, and certainly maybe some of the guys in Detroit, whether it be Schroeder and Beasley and Harris. And those guys. There's a difference. The playoffs basically separate you from MVP level to third team All NBA.
Yeah.
There's a gap there. There's a gap there here. So I do understand why Michael went down that road and everything like that. And as we all say, sometimes what we say kind of comes back to bite you a little bit. I was teasing with my wife yesterday because I was ready to non-Knicks series. I was ready to say on TV, like, yeah, I'm not sure LeBron has another gear left. And there we go. We're watching him Friday night, and we're watching him yesterday, block shots and stuff. So we all have fun with some of the takes, and I know it. I'm ready for the Timberwolves to finish the Lakers off, and the Timberwolves PR to tweet out that all of us at ESPN predicted the Lakers to win the series. Yeah. So I'm prepared for that and everything like that. But just going back for the Knicks, listen, you get through this, you're going to get Boston, right? Like that's looking ahead, and that's the reality. Two teams that are kind of dinged up a little bit here. And we'll see what happens here. But as I said, you got to go home. You got to go home, and you can't. Hard to play from behind, I think, and I think you showed you can do it. But I think the Game 3 win on the road, that was as good as I've seen them. And I know things got a little dicey down the stretch, but that was as good as a overall performance by New York here, because it was so balanced. I thought it was. Especially after Game 2, and we can talk about lack of touches for Carl and maybe Jalen, maybe ISO heavy. I thought from a starter standpoint, that's how you're going to win games, is when you're balanced, when you're getting stuff from Bridges and you're getting stuff from Hart and OG, of course, and certainly the other two players.
Yeah, I agree with you there 100%. Now, this game 4, was not without its own controversy. You had the final sequence of the game. Tim Hardaway Jr. picks up the ball off of a scramble. Josh Hart makes contact. Was it a foul? Was it not a foul? What did you think about the way the game ended?
Well, a couple, like, my big picture is, like, don't put yourself in a position to rely on the refs at the end of the game. Like, you had a 9-point lead, and I would have said that for the Knicks too. If the Knicks were up 9, and listen, fans don't want to hear that. I thought, and I know the officials came out and said it was a foul. I didn't think it was a natural move by Hardaway Jr. on the shot, because he basically tried to draw contact. And I thought the official on the baseline got kind of blocked out a little bit, and I know it's his call, where he couldn't see. He basically was on the wrong side. So it's basically the official kind of more towards center court to make the call. It's tough, man. I mean, like, not just this series, all the series are physical. And they've let them play through for the most part here. It wasn't blatant. Listen, we go back and replay. We can do replay on everything.
Right.
And I'm sure there'll be a lot of calls out there. So I get it. But as I said, don't put yourself in that position where you're relying on a call to win you a game here.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Like, should the Pistons fans have a gripe? Absolutely, I agree. Was there contact? Sure, but from my perspective, I think the referees have been letting these guys play. I think the Pistons have gotten their fair share from Game 2 to Game 4, where these guys are just playing prison ball. And, I'm looking at it like, you know what? Hey, this is the playoffs. This is what I expected, especially in Game 2. To me, whenever I watch these games and, like, the team that's down 1-0, they come out with that desperation. They get the benefit of the whistle. I expected that in Game 2. Game 4, I'm watching Knicks get raked all over the place. No calls. So, I don't know, man. I just feel like these things have a way of balancing out. The Knicks went out there, they took the game, and I felt like they earned the victory.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it feels like there was a mandate given by the league office before the playoffs started, basically, like, unless things are blatant, and it's not just this series. I mean, you watch Milwaukee, Indiana last night, Houston, Golden State is extremely physical. Even when I was in LA last week and went to game 2, that's the game the Lakers won, and sitting up close to the court compared to watching it on TV gives you a different perspective how physical it really is.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So, as you said, these two teams will go at it again for Game 5 at the Garden. The Garden is going to be on fire. I'll be in the building. But as you said, I really hope the Knicks don't play around here and make sure that they wrap this series up, because you can probably expect Boston to do so when they get to Boston. Both games on Tuesday. So hopefully they can both wrap it up and the Knicks can get some much-needed rest as they head into an underdog scenario here against the Celtics. Now, you had Lakers at Minnesota, and Minnesota putting the Lakers on the brink of elimination, 116-113. They win that game yesterday. And, hey, this is the Anthony Edwards show, man, especially in this series. Ant-Man, to me, he's been absolutely sensational. 43 points in this one, 12 of 23 shooting from the field, 50% across the board, 5 of 10 from downtown, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Is this the best version of Anthony Edwards you've seen so far in his career?
Yeah, I mean, he's been the best player on the court. He's at his best when he is getting downhill, when he's facilitating, when he's getting to the basket. He's not at his best if he's just basically standing on the perimeter and shooting jumpers. And I said it last week on TV. I said, when he's distributing the ball, he is as good as any player in this league, because the ability to attack the basket is off the charts. I think what we're learning here, and I talked about it last week, is like, when you look at Minnesota's roster, I trust 7 guys.
Yeah.
Maybe Rudy, kind of what, I mean, but I trust him. Like, I trust what he can do defensively. With the Lakers, I probably trust 3 guys.
Right. That's right.
I don't know what I'm getting with everyone else. And I think you're seeing that here, where basically JJ Redick has to rely on 5 guys for the second half. These guys were, I mean, if this game went to overtime, these guys were going to be gassed. Where you could have Naz Reid, you could have Dante DiVincenzo come off your bench and give you minutes and give you productive minutes and basically give you a boost in the fourth quarter. And then to go along with Jaden McDaniels and Edwards and Gobert and Conley and that group there. I think Minnesota is going to win this series. I wouldn't be surprised if they win in Game 5 on the road. I think they've shown they can do it. I think they can't approach that they're playing with house money, because get a Game 6 at home, even with LeBron and Luka, that gets a little bit dicey here. But I think for the Lakers, it shows you that there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah,
with this roster, it really does. And listen, Luka and LeBron are terrific. There's no doubting that. And Austin Reeves is a nice third player. Third player, right? It's not your first or second best player. He's a nice third player. But what does this roster look like when LeBron eventually retires? Like, you got a lot of work to do here.
Yeah.
A lot of work to do here in this offseason here. But with Minnesota, I know you get and Randall's been really good too. I mean, I forgot to mention him. He's been really good.
Yeah.
With Minnesota, it shows you a team that got to the conference finals last year and added 2 core pieces with Randall and DiVincenzo. And they're battle tested, man. And Chris Finch is a good coach. He kind of pushes the right buttons with this group here. But Edwards he is fearless. Fearless can win you a lot of games. Sometimes he can cost you some games, but we're probably seeing the best version of him right now.
Yeah, I agree. And I've always felt like, especially with him, like, for this team to take that next step, he has to be able to make his team better. Point blank period. They traded Towns. It's all on his shoulders right now. Yes, Randall bears some of that responsibility, and they have the leadership of Conley and guys like that, but Ant-Man really has to be the engine for that team. And to me, he's been sensational. But also, you mentioned it, the depth. I felt like the depth of the Timberwolves is going to give this Laker team some problems. And from Naz Reid to DiVincenzo, they've definitely stepped up. And for the Lakers, I thought their keys to advancing was going to be in guys like Finney Smith and Gabe Vincent, and they've been kind of lackluster. I mean, you even had a game yesterday where Dalton Knecht didn't even get any minutes. All right, like Rui 41, LeBron 46 minutes at 40 years of age, Luka 46 minutes, Finney Smith 41. I mean, the depth, the lack of depth, rather, from the Lakers was certainly on display here, man.
Well, and it shows you like the difference between regular season and playoffs, right? Like the regular season, you could say, well, you can get away with Jackson Hayes at center, and then you watch Jackson Hayes and he doesn't play. And then it's like, okay, and it's about the matchups, getting the right. This is not an easy matchup for them.
Yeah.
They would have been probably better off getting Houston. I mean, that's the reality of it, of a Houston team that's offensively, offensively challenged here. But I know what I can get with Luke and LeBron. I don't know, and Austin Reeves to an extent. I know I missed some down the stretch. I don't know what I'm getting with the rest of the group, and that's what the Lakers were going to have to figure out this offseason here when it eventually comes to an end.
Yeah, no question about it. So they're on the brink there, 3-1. We'll see what happens there. But I like Minnesota's build in terms of being a playoff type of team. They have the star power with Ant-Man. Randall can be that Robin. They have the depth. They have defense, front court size, rebounding. I think that matchup, once they see OKC, is going to be very interesting, man. You know, I think they can match up well.
Well, yes, I agree with you. I think the biggest thing, and I equate it to like pitch, if you have really good pitching, right? Like, so for you Mets fans or Yankee fans out there watching, good teams that get to a World Series or far, you have good starting pitching, middle relief, and closers. Oklahoma City has that, right? Like when you look at depth matters. If you go 7 or 8 guys you can trust and rely on, that will take you pretty far in the playoffs here, because it helps you. It can help if an injury happens, or it helps that foul trouble or guys get a little bit gassed here. And Minnesota has that here. And I think if whoever they get past the Lakers, and they're going to get Golden State or Houston, and OKC is staring at them if they can get through, I guess, Denver or the Clips, and that's the thing, like everyone's saying, well, yeah, Denver or the Clips could give them the OKC a hard time. And it's like, well, what are these two teams going to be looking like?
Right.
When we get through this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Denver, listen, they're playing a lot of minutes, man. Like the Clips can go in Denver and win game 5 and come home and win the series. And if not, I think we'll probably go 7 games on that. And then it's like, what do you got left in the tank for an Oklahoma City team that basically plays 10 guys?
Yeah. And that is a great series, evenly matched. I mean, Knicks Pistons is my favorite in the East, and in the West, it's no question it's Denver and Clippers. I mean, that game Saturday night was exhilarating. And with the Aaron Gordon finish, that was like the tightest buzzer beater I've ever seen.
He won't say and he won't admit it, but it felt like he missed it on purpose, right?
Right.
And the worst thing could happen is if he hit the rim. The game would have been going to overtime, and that would have been another team that had basically exhausted their core 5 guys. And Porter Jr.'s been is certainly dinged up a little bit here with the shoulder. I think it just shows you, and we talked about it on after they lost game 3, and I was at that game. I left at halftime, but they looked gassed. It was like I said, it's like a marathon runner. You get to the 3 mile mark and you basically run out of gas, and they look defeated. But it's the heart of the champion. Jokic is so special
Insane.
in itself. And then you get your other guys, whether it be Gordon or Porter Jr. or Christian Brown, and certainly Jamal Murray, to kind of follow the lead. I was having PTSD watching that game because I was in Boston for game 3 of the Eastern Conference Finals in 2002 when we had a 24-point lead in the fourth quarter and wound up losing it. So I've been that. It happens as far as, basically it's like an avalanche where it just snowballs, man. Like it just happens and stuff. That's why what OKC did on the road in Memphis was remarkable, even though Ja wasn't there. But I do think this series is going to go. I think it will go 7 games here. The Clips are, they are deep. They give you a lot of different looks. Zubac has been
He
terrific.
has.
You got Powell. You got Derrick Jones Jr. coming off the bench for you. You have, you can defend. You get vintage Kawhi. Harden's got to be like Harden was in Game 3,
Hmm.
basically the tone setter here. But that series, it's unfortunate one of those teams is going to lose. But that series has been terrific.
Yeah. No question about it. CP the Fanchise here. Bobby Marks in the building. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys have questions for Bobby, go ahead and leave it in the chat, or you can hit us up on the KFTV Discord or the NBA Reports Discord. Now, also yesterday, Bobby, unfortunately, the Bucks lost Damian Lillard. They lost the game to the Pacers 129-103. I thought the Pacers were the better team going into this series. They played that way throughout. Now they're up 3-1. What have you made of the series so far?
I thought I picked Indiana before the series with Lillard or without. Even if Lillard had come back, I think there's a gap in talent
Yeah.
between the two rosters. I think it's evident. Indiana is much deeper.
Mm-hmm.
They've got shooters to complement Halliburton and Siakam. When you look at whether it be Ben Walker or McConnell or the list of guys, Nemhard and Mathurin, like
Nothing.
it's
Yep.
like they are deep. They are a deep roster. I thought they sometimes play with their food a little bit where they are so reliant on the three ball.
Mm-hmm.
Where I said it last night, they're going to keep Milwaukee in this game if they don't start attacking the paint here. They'll win this series. They should win this series in 5 back home in Indiana. And then it's going to be the questions as far as with Milwaukee, kind of what's next. I wrote their offseason article after they were down 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
Went back last night and certainly changed some things around because of the Lillard injury, which looks like it's going to be an Achilles. And an Achilles for a player who will be 35 years old in the summer and is owed $113 million left. And the future, even without the injury, did not look great for Milwaukee. And it's a lesson that eventually championship windows and the cycle to compete for championships eventually come to an end. That is the reality. That's in every sport.
Mm-hmm.
They've been to the playoffs 9 years in a row. They've lost. They'll probably lose in the playoffs 3 years in a row. They haven't been healthy. That's the reality of it, whether it be Giannis or Lillard or Middleton before that. But when you look at the big picture of this roster and you've got free agents, Lopez, Trent Jr., Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis, Kevin Porter Jr., the list goes on. Where are reinforcements coming from? You make the Kyle Kuzma trade. Where are reinforcements coming from? You can't trade a first round pick until 2031. You have basically 2 seconds at all. You have one this year. Where's help coming from? And they are ultimately aggressive. John Horst, their GM, has been aggressive forever, consistently turning over the roster, looking to, as I said, extending the Giannis window.
Mm-hmm.
I just look at it and it's like basically time will eventually run out here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that leads you to the big question with Giannis. I mean, that's the reality of it as far as a guy that's got, I think, 3 years left on his contract, third year's a player option as far as what you do with him. Because if Lillard is not going to be able to come back until, I don't even know if he comes back at all next year with that injury. That's a tough one. What's the roster looking like? And what happened, CP, is, and I dealt with this in New Jersey for the years we went to the playoffs and the finals, is when you don't draft well or if you don't have your picks and your players start to get older, like your wave of young players better help you.
Right.
Look at their wave of young players, and yeah, AJ Green's a nice player, right? Come off, but what else you got, man?
Yeah.
I mean, we had Ryan Rollins starting, who was basically on a two-way to start the, we don't see Andre Jackson or Chris Livingston or any of those guys they've drafted before. And Connaughton and, Jericho Sims and like that group there. It's like, what else do you have to that roster? And there's going to be some hard questions as far as what they have to kind of talk about when their offseason begins.
It seems like, I mean, not seems like, I think they have to trade Giannis, but what do you think in the minds of their GM? Because I feel like a guy like a Danny Ainge, he pulled the trigger. He's
Sure.
moving this guy and starting over.
Yeah.
What do you make of the Bucks GM's mindset there?
It's hard. I mean, listen, if it was Nico Harrison, he would have
Oh yeah, yeah. He'd be gone already
You
years
have
ago.
to know, you have to know the pulse of the timeline of when things are ending. Danny Ainge did
Mhm.
it brilliantly in Boston with Pierce and Garnett, right? But certainly what the return value was able to do. Sam Presti is terrific at that.
Mhm.
There basically is an alarm clock that goes off in his brain that says we need to move Paul George.
Mhm.
We see where this roster is going. We can't compete for a championship. I need to move Paul George and maybe I can get back Shea Gilgeous-Alexander
Mhm.
and 5 firsts for him. And that starts the retool. I think the biggest thing is if you're going to do it, you can't just rely just on draft picks. You got to get a centerpiece
Young
of a
players,
player that you can kind of because draft picks are draft picks.
right?
Like you can, like even like in the Bridges trade with Brooklyn, like one of them is going to be the 26th pick in the draft.
Mhm.
Who knows where? Like maybe the one in 30 turns out, or 29 turns out to be pretty good. But they're just picks, right? Like
Mhm.
they're um, so with Giannis in Milwaukee, and if you have that hard decision, and eventually you figure out this is the best for the organization, this is the best for him. You'll have offers. You'll have significant offers here for teams willing to give a ton. You'll get more than what Dallas got for Luka, I'm
Mhm.
sure. But that's something that you realize, like, if do we think we have another rabbit out of the hat, or do we think the ATM machine is low on money?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hard thing for front offices to answer.
Who do you think? Because I look at some of these young teams. I look at the Rockets. I look at Detroit. Who do you think makes the most sense to cash some of those chips in the middle and go get them? He always talks about he wants to win. He wants to stay in that championship window. That's why when people say, Brooklyn is the favorite, I just can't
Yeah.
see it. I mean, I don't
Well,
see who they pair him with.
I think Brooklyn is just linked because they just have so many draft
Right,
picks.
right, right.
Like, and so if you're Giannis, you're like, well, wait a minute. Like the biggest thing when franchise players get traded is walking into a roster that's already like depleted. You're like, great, like that sounds good. It's like, I'm here, but who am I playing with?
Yeah.
Like, what's the plan here? And if you give up all your draft picks, that's fine, but you're probably going to have to cost you Cam Johnson or Nick Claxton, some of those players here. I think I think Houston for me, and it's even with Durant, who
Mm-hmm.
will be likely become available. Like Houston has a little bit of everything. Like they've got
Mm-hmm.
young players, they got draft picks. You can still trade guys and still have stuff left. Like so if you're trading, I don't know, Jalen Green or Jabari Smith or Reed Shepard and draft picks, they've got a ton of picks. You still have um,
Sengun.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
Goon and Thompson, and we'll see what happens with Dylan Brooks. And there's still enough left. There's still enough left to the roster
Mm-hmm.
here as far as how you want to build up. So it's not completely gutted. Detroit is interesting for me because we kind of get into this pattern where sometimes continuity bites you in the butt a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw it with Atlanta when they went to the conference finals and lost to Milwaukee that
Milwaukee,
year. They
yeah.
basically ran it back, right? They ran it back, and then now you get stuck. Now Detroit is interesting because your 3 out of your 4 veterans, Schroeder, Hardaway, and Beasley are free agents.
Mm.
So what do you do with them, right? Do you want to bring it back, and does this roster have the upside to
Right.
take it to the next step here? But they're flushed with draft picks, and they've got young players to potentially move in a deal here, and that's why I love the playoffs, because the playoffs are always makes someone have a knee-jerk
Mm.
reaction to when you lose early,
Mm-hmm.
when you think maybe you're a little bit better, whether it be the Rockets, who maybe they got to go out and get Durant because they don't have a closer on this roster, or maybe they think they have to go get Giannis because there's no franchise level player on this roster here.
Well, how about Book? You know, there was talks that Phoenix wants to extend him, make the highest paid player in the league. But again, that's another situation like Milwaukee that I see is just putting more lipstick on a pig. Well, what do you think happens there with Book, the extension, and does he test the trade market a little bit?
I think with when you finish in a lottery and you have a record-setting payroll that it's hard to say that no player on the roster is untouchable. I really do. I mean, I think that's I think that's the reality. But the owner has been, I'm just reading. I'm just reading this. Sorry, read a text. I think the owner's been on the record and said that he's not trading him. He said he's not. I mean, so that basically gives Devin Booker leverage when he's eligible to sign a 2-year, whatever, $150 million extension and stuff. It's like for Phoenix, it's like, how do you thread the needle when you don't have your picks? You have like one tradable pick. You've got, I think, 3 or 4 first. And how do you thread the needle where you don't want to take a total rebuild and still be competitive? That's the return value of what you get back in Durant. For me, I think I would basically look at every option.
Yeah.
I just think you can't. I mean, Beal is a different entity.
Yeah.
But I do think you can get a haul for Devin Booker.
Right.
I mean, the guy's got 3 years left on his contract. You're not getting the return value backing for Kevin Durant.
Right.
Not getting 5 first and nice young players for a guy who's on an expiring contract. If he extends, certainly the price goes up a little bit here. But Phoenix it's probably one of the worst situations that I see as far as from a building standpoint. There's outside of Booker, there's really no tangible assets to that group. And Durant is certainly part of it, but I just don't see that you're going to give up everything for Kevin Durant. Right. I just don't see that.
Yeah, me neither, man. I would look to just destroy and rebuild, trade both those guys. I'm looking to Houston, trying to get some of those picks back, and just kind of just rebuild slowly. But we'll see what Ishbia has up his sleeve this offseason. And speaking of the offseason, you're a busy guy, right? You're tapping it on playoffs. You're traveling here and there for ESPN. You're working on your offseason articles. But let's talk about what you're doing for the draft as well, because that's pretty interesting.
There's not enough time in the day. I wish there was I wish we can extend the hours and get past 24 hours in a day and stuff. Yeah, no, listen, this 3-week stretch is probably the busiest of the 12-month cycle here, just because we got the playoffs going on, and we've got my off-season articles, and we're writing when teams are about to lose, and I think we've got 15 articles up already in one doc. You can go on ESPN and do that. But then we have the draft. We've got the combine in a few weeks, and we've got the draft in June. And one of the things I've been doing for the last 7 or 8 years, and I love doing it. It's very time consuming. Is I help through the agents, the players eligible for the draft. I sit down with them and help them prepare for when they interview with teams. It's one of the most rewarding things I do, just because I get to know the players and kind of who they are as people. And it can if I can give them some tips, interviewing tips, it's very rewarding. And I was out in LA last week, certainly for ESPN, but I was able to do about 20 players and sat down with them. The Florida trio of, the Walter Clayton and Al Condit, Will Richardson and Colin Maluk, the big guy from Duke, and doing Cooper Flag on Tuesday night, and Dylan Harper at the end of the week. And at the end of the day, I'll probably get about 60, 65 players, and it takes about 45 minutes out of my day. But you just run out of time to do it. And I love it. It really helps. It helps them. It helps me when I can kind of sit on stage the night of the draft and kind of talk about them as people. But that's, I talked with 2 years ago, we were able to talk about Derek Lively and his mom, who was battling breast cancer, who unfortunately passed away. But just to be able to talk about them as human beings that I think sometimes people forget about when they're on the court.
Yeah, that's A really great idea, actually. And like you said, you get to see a different side of those players rather than just, on the court, X's and O's, just being machines.
By the time the 3 weeks is over and we get the combine, my wife is a expert on the questions that I will ask. Like she's in my office is here and the living room is like down the road and she knows, like I'll walk out of there and she'll say to me, "So what makes you uncomfortable? What superhero you want to be?"
Yeah.
She's an expert. Last year I was doing Jared McCain from Duke, and his big thing was like TikTok, right?
Right.
And like he's the TikTok guy, and so we were talking about that, and my 16-year-old was in the kitchen, and I come out, and he goes, "Dad, was that Jared McCain?" Like, because he's TikTok, right?
Yeah.
He knew who he was and everything. But I started this. I think Jason Tatum was my first client when he was coming out of Duke, and that was like 7 or 8 years ago. And it's a really rewarding, as I said, kind of a process for me.
Yeah, super interesting. And then also we have SBC Sports Business Classroom Summer League in Las Vegas. I had the opportunity, the thrill of a lifetime, really, man, to join you guys and work with you guys. Tell the people more about the program.
Yes, and you will be back for year 2 this year, Sports Business Classroom. You can go on sportsbusinessclassroom.com. You can read everything about it. But we've got the SBC Immersive experience in Las Vegas, July 13th to the 19th. It is a week long, basically going to college for a week, where we put you in a setting where we're teaching you everything. Where we have 4 majors this year, salary cap. Scouting, video analytics, media broadcasting. We added a 4th major, which is agent representation / NIL. You get to pick a major. We provide curriculum throughout the day. We do deep dives at night. We are working on the curriculum this year. I'm looking to change things up. We're going to do some WNBA component. I don't think anybody really knows how like the salary cap works at least I don't know.
Yeah, true.
So we're going to do some WNBA component. We're going to do some NIL component. We're going to do some agent component, G League, besides, of course, everything that you guys are able to provide. And as I've always said, and I kind of beat the horse on this, like you are a great example of like building your brand. Like that is my theme for people who want to break into sports or want to do sports and love their hometown team and all this stuff. It's like, not everyone has the opportunity to go work in a front office, right? Not everyone has an opportunity to go work at ESPN or do some of these other things. Eventually, they probably will. But it's like, how do you build your brand? And how do you kind of something, you got to find your niche as far as like what you love to do, and then kind of create an audience to that. And that's, one of the things when I going back to the draft prospects, I always say, like, what's your proudest moment? And I think if you asked me that question, the proudest moment for me is basically being 42 years old after the Nets and really having no idea what I wanted to do, having no idea what I could do besides working in a front office, and then basically kind of build a brand, whether it be, teaching people the salary cap or help explain it easy or roster breakdowns and all that stuff. And that's my end goal in with the Summer League program out in Sports Business Class. It's a terrific program of networking, meeting people, stimulating your brain, giving you a sense of maybe that's how to kind of break into sport, because sports is hard, man. Like sports is challenging. When I started it in 1995, there wasn't sports management as a major or sports communication, and departments weren't as big, and you had more of an opportunity to get in because it was old school. You worked for free, right? You showed up on the door, you worked for free, and then eventually it turned into a job and you're making $20,000 a year, and that's how you basically get in. Nowadays, departments are huge, but there's so many people out there wanting to do this. It's remarkable here. And we just kind of give you some guidance here as far as how to break into sports, and whether it be working in a front office or doing what you're doing with your brand in the Knicks and everything like that. And it's a great experience for me. It's one of the more rewarding experiences that I've gone through professionally since I've been doing this.
Yeah, I have to agree. Even in my first year, man, it was a very rewarding experience. And Summer League is unlike anything else in terms of the league initiatives, in terms of its accessibility. So like you said, from a networking standpoint, man, it doesn't get any better than that, because literally everybody's there, whether it's from the opening weekend on through to the second half. And obviously this year will be very hyped with Cooper Flag coming into town. Last year it was Wemby, so or the year before that rather. Yeah. So, it's very accessible, and it's a great opportunity for people who are maybe looking to break in, or you're on a career pivot. Some of those people in SBC.
Yeah, we had a lot of them last year.
A lot of career pivoters, man. Yeah. Yes. Yep. So even the last time we did this and we talked about the program, we had someone that joined SBC after watching our conversation on KFTV last year. So I actually ran into her at the Knicks game a couple weeks ago again, and she was very thankful, very appreciative for introducing her to SBC, man.
Well, and the beauty too is that like once the week ends, it's not over. Like you have access to all of us for whatever you need. We had a bunch of people who wound up taking the agent exam this year, and we wound up we did a lot of tutoring, and we did a lot of off court. And if you're up for a job, we can put a phone call, it just doesn't end because you're there for the week and then see you later. Like there's still a network of people that we certainly keep in touch with.
Yeah, for sure. Like even Yossi Goslin.
Yeah.
We bring him
Yossi's coming. Yossi, we're bringing him on to help do him and Keith Smith, who, from Spoke Track and stuff. And those are guys who created their own brand. I mean, Yossi created a Substack, and he was at Hoops Hype, and now he does, Salary Cap. He's terrific. I love his stuff and everything. And that's kind of like what our theme is. And then we bring in executives from teams kind of come down and pop in and talk and everything. And you're right. Like Summer League is like no other thing. I mean, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
But the access is there. But you got to make the effort to do it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so, hey, once again, I definitely appreciate you for bringing me on. I'll look out for the kickoff meetings and things of that nature, man. But definitely appreciate the time talking playoffs and off season with you. Well,
I appreciate you having me, and hopefully, I do not have to write a Knicks article for a little while. What drives me the crazy is like, when teams go up 3-1 and then all of a sudden it's like 3-3 and I'm like, oh my God. It's like people always ask me, it's like, do you have a rooting interest in the playoffs? And I'd be like, you know what my rooting interest is? When a team is up 3-1 to finish that other team off. That's what my rooting interest is.
Yeah. And with this Knicks team, this series has really tested their grit versus public opinion about this team or the lack thereof. And now we're going to see if they have that killer instinct to close it out. Because as you say, it's not easy, man.
I think that as you said, the Garden will be rock. Yes, Detroit showed that they can win there in game 2, but I do think you just got to get off to a good start. Yeah. You just can't play from behind.
True indeed, man. Well, Bobby, man, we'll look out for the next article on ESPN. And thanks again for the time, man.
I appreciate it. Good talking with you.
All right. That was our guy, Bobby Marks. Once again, salute to everybody in the chat. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to that channel. Let me go ahead and fix my camera up here. All right, salute to the family, man. How we feeling? Salute, man. Everybody in the chat, all my Fanchise channel members. Salute. Randy Luis asks, does the seminar help with sports medicine or healthcare? They didn't have a track for that. As he mentioned, they have the agent track. I work in the media side. They have scouting, not healthcare specifically, but again, man, like you just don't know who you're going to run into at Summer League, whether it's at the Thomas and Mack Center, at the games, it's on the dice game, at the crap table, in a hotel. You just never know who you're going to run into. So that's why I encourage everybody, whether you're a spectator or you're looking to break into the business, or you have another business, an ancillary business that you feel like, you can really tap in and build on, come to Summer League, man. And on top of that, the games are super accessible. You have 2 gyms in Thomas and Mack Center, $35 a day, or you could stay the whole day. You could sit wherever you want. You check the schedule. Okay, Knicks is in the A gym. I'm over here. Okay, I want to see Cooper Flag and them at 5:30. Okay, I'm over here. And that's basically it, man. It's very accessible, and you get to see some of the young stars, the next generation, kick off their NBA career. So shout out to everybody who popped in at Summer League last year. And for those of you that, you guys have seen head coach Tom Crean on this show, and we talk about building relationships and networking, that's where I met him formally at Summer League, because he was working with our kids on the media track. They had a podcast studio at Summer League. So they had me basically producing the podcast for the kids. So we would have different guests, Tom Crean. I think they had like former GM of the Wizards, a lot of different guys. And that's how I met him. We exchanged contact, and we brought him on the show several times here at KFTV. So that's just how it goes when you talk about making those connections and building long-lasting relationships. All right, so great job by Bobby Mark. Salute to everybody on the lunchtime grind. If you guys are on the grind, man, leave me a hashtag grind, and I will shout you guys out. Also, let's pay some bills. I want to shout out one of our sponsors of this show, and that is Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm. Shout out to Morgan & Morgan, man. Over 35 years of top quality service. Hey, listen, all law firms are not the same. I'll give you guys a couple of examples. In Florida, a client received $12 million after an insurance company's best offer was $350,000. In Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million, a staggering 40 times the insurance company's original offer of $650,000. So those are just the examples of how Morgan & Morgan can get it right for you. And the best part is, it's free. Their services are free unless you win. Free unless you win. So if you feel like you have an injury case that you want to fight, go to Morgan & Morgan. Go to forthepeople.com/KFTV, or you can dial pound law, which is pound 529 from your cell phone. All right, forthepeople.com/KFTV or pound law from your cell phone. All right, shout out to our guys at Morgan & Morgan. And also, hey, for you small business owners or medium-sized business owners, if you guys are looking for top quality talent, make sure you try LinkedIn to go there, man. We've definitely found top quality candidates to move KFTV forward. And LinkedIn, what I like about it, hey, you post your job, you get the qualified candidates, and you can share with your network, let people know that you're hiring. It's a very intuitive process. I like the networking part of LinkedIn, and also the ability to find top quality candidates really around the world, man. So find out why more than 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring today. Find your next great hire on LinkedIn. And to support us, go to LinkedIn.com to post your job for free. LinkedIn.com/KFTV. All right, LinkedIn.com/KFTV. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. Shout out to those sponsors, man. All right, today I'm texting Starberry right now. We were talking, man. He was hyped after that Knicks victory. So I'm gonna try to come back on today at 5:00 for the Bleacher Report show. We'll see what Starberry's schedule is looking like. I'm gonna hit him right now, see what he's dealing with, see if we can bring him on for 5:00, and then talk a little bit more about Game 4. Also, a couple things about Game 5. Number one, the watch party, man. The rooftop is open at the Ainsworth, all right? So 45 East 33rd Street, 5:30 happy hour. Tip off at 7:30. Meet us on the roof. It's going to be 80 degrees here in New York City on Tuesday. So the Ainsworth is opening the roof. So we'll have different rooms. We'll have the downstairs back room, which has been going bananas over these past couple of wins. But if you want to watch the game in style, head up to the Ainsworth and head up to the roof. Also, if you guys want to go to the game, we are partnering with Underdog Fantasy to give away 2 tickets to Game 5. What you have to do to qualify, you go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app. Use our code KFTV, and it's a raffle. So you make a minimum deposit of $10, and we're going to draw the winner during the 5:00 show. I'm going to go back live at 5:00 to draw the winner. So you guys watching live have about 4 hours to get it done. UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the code KFTV. $10 for the raffle. And then we will draw from the names at 5 p.m. Okay? All right, those are the announcements, man. Beautiful day outside. I'm going to go take a walk, man. Get my mind right. Hit a little reset. And I'll see you guys at 5:00, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to our Fanchise channel members. Shells, I see you. Zach in LA, I see you, man. AP says, CP, I got my Knicks poster. Thank you very much. Yeah, man, hope you enjoy it, man. Hope you enjoy it. We're sending some more out today, man. Coach Mike, I see you, man. Coach Mike, hopefully I see you out in Summer League. Salute. Harlem Super Thugs, I appreciate it, man. Salute to Harlem, USA. Kyle, shout out to Kyle. Kyle, you should be getting your stuff soon, man. We sent it out to AZ, so it should be coming shortly, either today or tomorrow, I would say. Bomani, wise guy, salute. Randy Louis, I appreciate you again. JR, appreciate you, man. And, yeah, man, appreciate everybody for tapping in. Let's go. See you guys later, 5 p.m. We're going to get it cracking, all right? Have a good day, everybody. Peace.